Say hi.
Hi.
We're recording.
Hi. Hi everyone, I'm Bert. I have been working for the past 2 weeks on an iOS project. And so the idea, it's called ToolMaker. It's a work in progress, like better names are welcome to your discussion. But basically, the idea is like, what would it feel like or look like if you designed a programming environment from the ground up for touch? Okay, so what is ToolMaker? So it's a first-class programming environment for the iPad, right? And I mean first-class in the sense that you are not restricted from doing anything a normal iOS programmer would be able to do on the iPad. One thing that Apple does that's one of their great faults and probably one of their strengths also is they lock down their environment really tightly, the programming environment. So you can't, for example, like compile code on the iPad, which is a bummer for all of us who believe in like controlling our computers and free software and all that cool stuff. So yeah, I was aiming to see if it was possible to make a first-class programming environment in whatever that would mean. And the second part is that it embraces touch computing, right? So like, there are things that touch computers are definitely worse at than our normal laptops or desktops, right? Typing on touchscreens is not that great, right? But there are things that touchscreens are also better at than normal computers, which is that if you want to have a direct connection to your work, right, like Bret Victor style, it's really useful to have something that knows how to, like, as you put it, like, listen to your hands, right? So the idea is that we try and make a programming environment that embraces touch computing. Okay. So why the iPad, right? There's several reasons for this. Number one, avoiding reinventing the wheel. So the biggest thing about this is that iOS already has like great touch frameworks and good performance on all of those frameworks. I don't have an Android phone, first off, but secondly, like I've had problems with like performance on Android phones and this kind of thing. Secondly, like I wanted to learn about like, best practices in graphical user interface design and how to use touch, and take advantage of like all of the things that Apple has already built into their API. And thirdly, it's harder. It's like harder to go in and like break stuff and change stuff and hack iOS than it is to like break stuff and change stuff and hack like Android or Firefox OS or something. So it was kind of an appealing challenge, right? To take like a week and see if I could actually pull this off. Okay, cool. Demo time. So I have my iPad here, and I've got my app. My app is a normal iOS app, right? It runs in Xcode, and let me see if I can get this right. So, I think this is like a little bit new to me. Yeah. Okay. Sorry guys, assuming it's working. Cool. This should show up. Fantastic. Okay. Cool. So this app is called ToolMaker, right? And so what is it, right? So the idea for something to be first class, you have to be able to create like your own instances of all of Apple's objects and classes and this kind of thing, right? And the question is like, you have to probably do some like kind of hacky meta programming to make this work. So I did. Pull out Xcode. That's all I want. Excellent. Okay, cool. So I had to figure out some way of like dynamically instantiating classes on the fly, right? I'm using Apple's new programming language called Swift. It's a wonderful language in my opinion. But there are things you just cannot do. So for example, like if I wanted to dynamically create my own views on the fly, I have to like reach into the class system, ask for the name of a class from the runtime, right? Grab that class as a string, and then say, hey runtime, look up this class, and then make me one of them, right? And Swift doesn't like that at all. There's all kinds of like type safety checks that violates. So, let me see if I can find this. Okay, so here's the function instantiate view at point, right? I say let instantiate view equals dynamic view instantiator dot instantiate view from class, the string that is the class, right? And dynamic view instantiator is actually like calling into an Objective-C class file, right? And so I tried like 10 different ways to pull this off in Swift, not possible. But one line of Objective-C, and it will happily coerce a class from a string and pull it onto the screen. So if I go back to my demo, that's kind of weird. It's really weird. Okay, cool. If I go back to my demo and I grab, like, over here, you can't see what I'm touching. Oh, you can, okay. I can pull out my own UI view. So that's like a light gray UI view, right? This is an actual instance of Apple's like UI view class or whatever, right? And I can actually like reach in and grab it and hold on, this works. I don't know what's going on. What the hell? Okay. That's awesome. Okay, sorry. Yeah, so what was supposed to happen there? Murphy's Law in action, man. Okay, so what was supposed to happen there, which has happened literally every time I've tried this for the last like 2 weeks, is it grows like that. So this is like completely useless and silly, but I'm actually changing the attributes of this class at runtime, right? So it's growing and shrinking, doing all kinds of interesting stuff. And so like I can pull out things like labels and buttons and text fields. And this all work. This is all actually running at runtime. So I can like actually edit this text, right? And then like I can grab it and I can grow it, I can twist it, I can do all kinds of crap to it, like, and everything is still working, right? So like, well, okay, thanks for that. But yeah, everything still works. It's a totally useless hack right now, but it works. It's like instantiating these at runtime, modifying their attributes, and allowing me to do it with touch, right? So first off, I would like to say my biggest scientific observation of this is it's really fun. Really, really fun. It's totally useless and so much fun. Just touch things on the screen and move them around and do stupid stuff like this. So even more interesting was, like, I did not do this. So what I'm actually doing here is I'm extending the built-in. So what I'm actually doing here is I'm. What I'm actually doing here is I'm actually extending the built-in UI view class, right? This is like something that if you're a Rubyist, like you're totally comfortable with this, right? It's like monkey patching. You reach into a class at runtime and say like, hey, just come up with these attributes. Don't worry, I know what I'm doing, right? Anyone from a sane language, like not Ruby, would be like, wow, this is a terrible idea. But in this case, it works in Swift, which is wonderful. And more than that, it allows me to very, very simply set up some new attributes on every single view in the system. So this means that like, I have so I've got this activate function, so when I call activate on any view in the system, right, I can say like, give me these gesture recognizers, and now when I touch you, interpret them in this way, right? So I'm actually saying like, when I pan this view, grow the view, or move the view. When I pinch this view, grow the view. When I rotate the view, rotate, right? And it's all extremely straightforward thanks to this ridiculous metaprogramming hack that's like a carryover from Objective-C, right? So what's really interesting though is like the implications of that, right? So like if this is like a first class extension UI view, I should be able to do some really, really weird stuff. So if I go back to my app, right, this is a view, right? And these text fields are views. This button is a view. But this toolbar is also a view, right? The toolbar that I'm pulling all this stuff out from. Right? So if I call activate on the toolbar, I should be able to just like grab it and drag it around without breaking the whole system, right? So for the sake of time, so conveniently, I have commented out the activate function on that view, right? And if I run this again, just a second. Launch. Cool. So I've called activate on the editor palette on the right? So now I can just grab it and move it around. Right? And this is totally weird. Like iOS is not expecting this at all, but it's like, whatever, like you told me what you're doing, so that's cool. So it's about to get a little bit weirder. So now here I'm calling activate on self.view, right? And I'm in the main view controller of the system, right? Right, so if I understand correctly, right, I'm saying, hey, system, allow me now to manipulate all of your properties and attributes, right, with touch, right? So if this works, right, then like achieved, and we can actually like manipulate all the elements of iOS in the first class way. So, build, hope it doesn't error. Wonderful. Okay, let's jump back to this. Cool. So, like I said, if this works, right, I should be able to grab this grab this, not that, here, sorry. Okay, I should be able to grab this text and move around like normally, but I should also be able to do crazy things like grab the backing store and drag the system off the screen. I should be able to do this. Right, and I mean, iOS is kind of breaking, but kind of not breaking. Everything is still, okay, hold on. Okay, something funny happened, and the gesture recognizer is only set up on this view. So now that this view is gone, right? But in an earlier incarnation of this demo, you could actually still pull all of the elements out of this, right? And instantiate them on the fly, rotate them. The text input still works, like if I try to pull something out first. Yeah, but everything works in the first class way, and it's kind of amazing. Yeah, so I have like 3 more slides, but it was like, I'm already a minute over time. So I just want to call it a day. I'll tell you more about this next week. Thank you guys very much.